So welcome to our webinar this morning. For those of you who do not know me yet, my name is Sonika. I am a Senior Solution Center Specialist at Mpowered, and I will be hosting your webinar today. We are going to discuss the YES program. So I will take you through the theory of it, and then I know we all have a lot of questions surrounding YES. So we have a special guest today. We have Tashma Ismail, who is the CEO of the YES organization. So after we have a look at the theory, you can ask her all your burning questions about whether YES is really viable. Okay, so as I said, we're looking at the Youth Employment Service Initiative. Is it really viable? So let's have a look at some of the basic criteria surrounding YES. So firstly, the registration qualifications. So for a generic company to qualify to register for YES, the company must meet the sub-minimum for all three of the priority elements, or must achieve an average of 50% across three priority elements. For a QSE, you must achieve the sub-minimum for two of the three priority elements, one of which being ownership, or in place of that, achieve an average score of 40% across the two priority elements, and again, one being ownership. An EME does not have any qualification criteria. Then another important factor, entities should maintain or improve their BEE level from their previous rating in the prior year before participating in the YES program. Only Black people, as defined in the BEE codes, who are youth, in other words, between 18 and 35 years, will qualify. Okay, the targets. For a generic company, the target is based on the higher number of the following three criteria. So it will either be 1.5% of the YES measured entities headcount in the preceding year, or 1.5% of the YES measured entities average net profit after tax from South African operations in the immediately preceding 3 years, converted to a headcount number by dividing the net profit after tax number by 55,000 Rand. So in other words, you would get the net profit after tax from the preceding 3 years, get the average, divide that by 55,000 Rand, and then calculate 1.5% of that. Or it will be a target as determined in our table over here. So depending on your revenue, this will be your target on the right. For QSEs and EMEs, the targets are determined in Table 1, Annexure A. So it's based on headcount. So if you're a QSE or an EME and you have, for example, 240 to 259 employees, your YES youth target would be 13 people. So what are the benefits of participating in the YES program? The benefits are quite impressive if you have a look at it. So if you achieve the YES target and 2.5% absorption, you will move up one BEE recognition level on your scorecard. If you achieve 1.5% of the YES target and 5% absorption, you will move a level up and you will get 3 bonus points to your overall scorecard. If you double your YES target and you achieve 5% absorption, you will move 2 levels up on your scorecard. You are also able to claim up to 50% of your skills development spend as informal training, so category F and G, against the skills scorecard for the YES eligible employees. So obviously there are certain employment conditions. You would have to meet the South African legislation governing basic conditions of employment and working conditions when you look to place YES employees. You need to sign a fixed term or a temporary employment contract with the Black youth, and it has to be new positions. The contract must be for a minimum of 12 months. And then obviously clear communication is important. It has to be provided to the employee should the contract not be renewed or extended into permanent placement. The new jobs that you create have to be in addition to existing headcount. And then if a YES measured entity is unable to create a sufficient number of new jobs within itself to meet the targets, they can sponsor new jobs to be placed in EME or QSE companies. So the DTI released a practice note which said that companies have to register with the YES nonprofit company in order to participate. For public entities and specialized entities, you can participate with no sub-minimum requirement. The sub-minimums for companies which fall into specific sectors are calculated as per the principles in that relevant sector code, so not the generic codes. And then if you have not maintained your BE level or improved on it for a good reason, for valid reasons, the measured entity can approach the DTI in order to still participate in the YES program. And then certain reasons are stated in the practice note. If a YES employee cannot complete the full 12 months, a minimum of 8 months will suffice, and the measured entity will have 1 month to replace the employee. So if your YES employee, for some reason, only completes 8 months, you can still claim that person. You have a month to replace the person. The 12-month workplace experience does not qualify as a learnership, internship, or apprenticeship, so you cannot claim this under your category B, C, or D claim on your normal skills development scorecard. Your workplace experience will also be monitored by YES to ensure that there is a consistent national standard applied to the program. And the placement of Black youth is also not limited to EMEs or QSEs. BEE recognition is only applicable for the creation of jobs under the YES initiative for eligible employees who are unemployed at the time of registering with the YES initiative. And then an interesting point to note, if the measured entity has made a loss, they will refer to the indicative profit margin to determine the net profit after tax when calculating your targets. I would like to now hand over to Tashmia so that you can all ask her your questions on the YES initiative.
Thank you for having us on, Sonika.
Thank you for joining us. So I see we have a question here from Karima.
Please clarify if external learnerships form part of a measured entity's headcount included when calculating the YES headcount targets. So Karima, thanks for your question. On our website, yesforyouth.co.za, it's numerical 4, all of the DTI guidelines and regulations are available on the BEE tab. The Government Gazette and the practice note is available there, and it's quite clear in saying that YES youth are not learnerships, internships, or apprenticeships. These have to be new jobs, workplace experiences for 1 year. You can understand that if it was just going to be learnerships, internships, and apprenticeships from the DTI's perspective, there would be no net increase in the number of jobs available. And what the country needs more than anything is new jobs over and above what we're doing now, because we have such a massive unemployment problem. Okay. And we are asking companies to go over and above what you currently do. So I hope that answers it. Let's go on to Angus. 51% Black owned, not at all, not at all. You do not have to be a Black owned entity to participate. All you need, as per Sonika's lovely presentation that she did on a summary of YES, you just need to have a 50% average across your 3 priority elements. In fact, we have got partners like Oracle, that have moved to a level 2 on the BEE scorecard, and they have 0 on ownership, on
Yes.
Black ownership.
So that's actually,
So
sorry to interrupt you, Tashma, but
please.
actually an important thing to point out, I think, is that the YES program is very useful for companies who struggle with exactly their ownership element, to move up a level where they do not have those points from ownership.
Sonika, that one from Angus about must you be 51% Black owned, I hope it's very clear to everybody that this is an amazing benefit for those companies that have 0 on ownership, because you need a 50% average across the 3 priority elements, which means you can completely make up for that 50% on enterprise and supply development and on skills.
Yes.
So it's very easy to actually participate with nothing on ownership.
Yeah, no Black ownership required.
And then I love Leanne's question, because it gives us a chance to reiterate this. Companies, there is no prescription, Leanne, on selection of candidates. You can use the YES database, you can use your own database, you can use your own recruiters. The selection of candidates is entirely up to the company. You know, we have now, guys, over 35,000 jobs across the country. 35,411 is the commitment number from companies across the country. And the placements are from people with no matric in rural communities, all the way to actuarial graduates with master's qualifications. So the YES program is trying to place any youth, if there's an opening and an opportunity for them, regardless of their skill level, can we get that young person into that 1 year so they can build a CV and they can build a reference letter, and it dramatically changes their chances of getting a job after that. The statistic is that a female candidate with a quality and credible reference letter doubles her likelihood of a job within 3 months of job search. So don't take lightly the power of this 1 year to launch that person into the labor market with some sort of currency. You know, we had Mike Brown, who did an amazing speech when we were opening one of our facilities and in an audience with the president, where he said in his history of employing people, when someone had some experience in an interview on that CV that he was reading, it immediately tenfold changed that person's chance of getting a job in his mind, because that experience is such a powerful de-risker. So absolutely, you are able to select your own candidates, because we know that you are the most likely person to know what your business needs.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to our next question.
Rob van Leysen Sonika has put something into the chat box, saying that clients say it's too expensive. Is the only advantage in using YES to move up a level? Can we package it differently?
Definitely a comment that I have heard as well, that it is too expensive. Yes.
So we'll talk about expensive, and we'll talk about packaging it differently. I'll start with packaging it differently. There are numerous ways in which companies participate and create jobs. So for some companies, if there's a big target, and they're not really keen on doing this through the YES level up, what we call the YES central model, they've participated through enterprise and supplier development. The enterprise and supply development is making investments in hubs or projects like our mask production process, where they're buying the masks from township entrepreneurs. We have a BE level 1 rating, and we act as the facilitator in this enterprise and procurement transaction. We also have, so that's one way to participate. The other way to participate is a company like Sabata, that has put their YES youth into a digital training and work experience that is not sitting inside of their own company. It sits via a YES facilitated transaction. So they're building industry skills. they're getting their yes level up by placing the youth through an entrepreneur development program. So, you can contact our team, and we've actually got a whole lot of packages and models where you don't have to do Yes Central on the level up. In terms of it being expensive, I don't know that people have done the numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to 1.5% of net profit after tax.
Yes.
That 1.5% of net profit after tax divided by 55,000 is the gazetted formula for your target. That is not actually what you pay. And we've created an amazing table, Sonica, that I would love for you to share, that shows that if you take a cognizance of the ETI, the employment tax incentive, the actual yes fee is nothing. The yes fee comes to very, very little if you look at the cost of the program. The real cost sits in the salaries per month of the youth over the year.
Yes.
The yes fee is under 400 Rand a month. If you look at our new packages for businesses between 4 million and 12 million net profit after tax, it's a 3,000 once-off fee for that youth for the entire year, which includes the smartphone. It includes the training, the 24 modules of training on entrepreneurship and work professional skills that a lot of managers tell us they struggle with youth. We've got global interest in this digital training platform that we've built because the material is so exciting and cutting edge. We've used behavioral economics, films, animations, graphic rich storytelling models to train youth on workplace behaviors, professional skills, how to manage money responsibly, and there's an entrepreneurship course in there. So it's amazing value for that 3,000 Rand, which is once off for the whole year. You get your entire verification platform of data. You get that yes registration, the whole system that runs that BE certification that feeds into the verification agencies. So you get that entire monitoring and evaluation for your verification, and the youth gets that smartphone with the whole engagement apps on it. There's 2 sets of apps on there. So if you actually look at value for money on that yes fee for the 3,000 Rand, it's a huge package of value that you get. And we're an NGO, so everything we do just goes straight back into driving a better program. And if you are if you're a business of under 4 million, that fee is completely subsidized. The fee is actually really, really low. So Rob, please get in touch with our team. We need to, I think, really spell out what these packages are, because when you look at it on a per day basis, you'd be paying, if you take the ETI and the COVID benefit, the cost of actually keeping that youth in a job is 44 Rand a day, including the yes fees and the salary. So if you make good use of those incentives, 44 Rand a day, really, what's that? That's not even 2 cappuccinos, right?
Yeah, not even.
So for 2 cappuccinos, you can keep a youth in a job a day. So I really want to challenge this idea that it is an expensive program. I mean, even if you just work on the NPAT number, if you want to move from a level 8 to a level 7 to a level 6 to a level 5, that's 15 points. Right? If you use conventional enterprise development, 1% of NPAT only gets you 5 points. Yes is giving you an entire level, which is a 15-point difference if you're moving between those levels. So I really don't buy this that it's an expensive program. I think that clients aren't being given the full breakdown of those costs.
Yes, the clarity.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very true. You have to compare the level up that you get from yes to how much you would need to spend ordinarily to actually get those points, like you say, on maybe enterprise development or supply development.
Absolutely. You need to compare apples with apples. What does 1% of NPAT get you in terms of points? Those 5 points versus the whole level that yes is giving you.
Exactly. Okay, what other questions do we have here? Clarification of the maintain or improve as per clarification statement from the DTI in February.
Ah, yes, yes. And that's from our own teammate who's saying just make this very clear to companies.
Oh, I see.
We went to the DTI, and they really are quite good in when we collect a whole lot of. That's why sessions like this, Sonica, are so important,
Yes.
because it gives us feedback from market, and we can take it to the DTI and say, look, this is something that companies are not understanding in the practice note or the Gazette. And something that companies kept asking us was, do we need to maintain and improve the yes level? So you can imagine that would be quite hard, right? If you take Oracle as an example, they moved 2 levels up with yes, but
Yes.
there's no way that they would be able to maintain that level 2 if it wasn't for the yes program.
No.
So the DTI have made it very clear that you just have to maintain or improve on the very initial level that you came into the yes program with before your first yes level was conferred upon you. So if you came in as a level 5 into the program and you got to a level 4 with yes in year 1, all you have to improve and maintain on is that level 5 that you came into the program with.
Okay, yes. Otherwise it would be quite difficult.
Difficult, exactly.
Okay.
And then Karima's asking, clarify the 5% margin allowance in the clarification statement issued early this year. That's also a really important question that a lot of companies were coming to us and saying, listen, youth drop off because of death or some kind of economic shock in their family, or sometimes they even find a better job.
Yes.
And we're having to replace those youth. So we went to the DTI and said, look, please allow for some kind of buffer. That if a company's target is 100, that you allow 5% to drop off without needing replacement.
Mm.
So if you take a company's target and you work out what 5% of that target is, if they drop off the program even before the month 8 rule, you don't have to replace up to 5% because they've understood that there will be some natural drop off.
And that does happen, yes.
How many are in the year 2 program? Dispel the myth. So the myth is the question that was asked, is this program viable? We have got 150 companies, over 150 companies that have received levels up with yes already.
Mm.
So I think that in itself this is a viable program. With 35,411 youth in jobs, that's 1.4 billion going into youth salaries across the country. We've done a survey, Sonica, with our youth. They get the smartphone, and Vodacom has 0 rated the apps on the smartphone, so they don't pay for any of the data on there. So we've got a live connection with our youth wherever they are in the country. And we've sent them a COVID survey to see how they're doing and what is going on, what have been the impacts. 70% of our youth say that yes salary is supporting additional household members.
Sure.
So the impact of this program at grassroots level on those households, we cannot tell you the stories we get and the feedback that we get from youth. These jobs really, really matter. And 1.4 billion is not a small amount.
No. It's actually
it's a big economic impact, and it's all thanks to our corporate partners, to these businesses, these 1,000 businesses that have joined Yes and are making this contribution. It is when you work together, when you come together, your impact is so amplified. And that is what is brilliant about this initiative, is we're a national initiative. We give all these businesses a platform to be able to work together. So, I don't want to lose the opportunity that we answer your big question around viability. Hopefully, this feedback from youth that those incomes are supporting children and additional family members, that it's 1.4 billion that companies have put back, and that there's 150 BE levels up, I hope answers the big question. Then Benny's saying, if learners are sourced by Yes and placed at a host company, who does the placing at the host company and who takes responsibility? So Benny, we've got a whole IP partner, implementation partner model These implementation partners, we've got about 34 of them on our list. They do amazing jobs, everything from recycling and indigenous planting through to game ranging and oceans economy, early childhood development, and tech and digital development programs in communities. They work in schools supporting underprivileged schools. So we've got a different partner, a different NGO partner for each of those projects. We've got people that run ECD programs, people that run recycling programs. And so the youth are actually sourced at community level by those NGOs, and they create the labor contract with, or the contract of employment with that young person. And we create a three-way contract between, yes, the employer on the ground, which is our partner, and the youth who is in that position, that job position. And we facilitate the corporate money going via that partner and paying those youth on the ground. So it's a beautiful turnkey, administrative-free program for the client and the sponsor. And that NGO on the ground takes responsibility for all of that administration of keeping the youth in the quality work experience. And because that youth has got that smartphone with them, every youth gets delivered that smartphone, we are also able to monitor and evaluate that quality work experience directly with the youth via our daily interactions with them.
Yes.
Year one, on absorption targets, may a company just do 1 year of yes and not have to do any actual absorption? The DTI are saying that you might not need to show the absorption at your year one verification, but there is an expectation that the 2.5% of absorption, Benny, does take place afterwards. They can come back and audit you and say, did that absorption happen eventually? So in the spirit of doing the right thing, you know, that absorption target is incredibly low. It's 2.5% of your target. Yeah. It is a tiny number. So we are saying, you know, in the spirit of the program, even if they are not asking you for the verification for that absorption to happen, it's a rule that it's a flexibility that's been created to help companies get that level one quickly, or that one level up quickly. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't still try for the absorption, please. I think that's quite an important point to make.
Definitely. Any closing statements from you?
I would love everybody to leave, the 35 participants that are still in here, to understand that now more than ever, our country needs these jobs. Our feedback from market is that lockdown has hit us hard, and we really do need to work together as Business South Africa, as a coalition. We understand this is over and above. We understand companies are doing a lot, but if we don't build our market back up, if we don't have a country, we can't have companies. Exactly. The long-term sustainability and viability of our companies is dependent on a functional market, and we can't have a functional market if we don't have jobs. So please convince companies, yes, we've done the numbers. It makes financial sense to do this. It makes economic sense for the company to do this, and it makes sense for the country to do this. Yes. Work with us. We're very happy to run these numbers with you and build a package that makes sense for your clients.
Such a powerful closing statement from you. Thank you very much for joining us today and for your valuable input. Okay, thank you everyone for voting. Thank you for joining us, and thank you again, Tashma. Your input was really valuable and we appreciate it.
Thank you for having us on, Sonika. This is such a lovely opportunity.
Thank you. Hopefully we will see all of you again at our next webinar.
And hopefully you all say yes.
Yes, everyone hopefully says yes. Thank you very much. Bye.